Electric cars in general, and especially Teslas, are extremely difficult to attain right now. If you order a Tesla online, you'll find that a new Model 3 in a stock configuration could arrive as late as August of this year. That's a long wait for your car and definitely doesn't allow people to solve the issue of needing a vehicle immediately if that's where you're at. That in turn has led the used vehicle market to skyrocket, especially for Teslas. Buying a new Tesla is often the way to go, but recently I had a situation where I needed a car, so I decided to look around at used Teslas. I ended up buying a used 2018 Model 3. Today I'm going to break down why I did it, what things I was worried about, and things that make buying a used Tesla better or worse than buying a new one. So let's get into it, and a special thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Before buying my new, used Model 3, I had purchased 3 Teslas. Each were purchased new, direct from Tesla. First was a 2020 Model Y, which I took delivery of at the end of March of 2020. That was the car I used exclusively for a while, but something I was investigating while owning that car was renting it out on Turo. Unfortunately, this led to my first accident in that car when a renter was rear-ended, but everything was solved there with insurance covering the accident, loss of income, and diminished value. I put it back on Turo, and it has rented fairly well. I did have to pause it again on there when I got rear-ended, and I made videos about that and both of those repairs, and that is linked below. In any case, later in March of 2021, we replaced my wife's car with a standard range Model 3. At the time, it was available for far cheaper than it is now, with our base price, including a $1,000 paint upgrade, coming in at $38,990. Now that same car sells for $8,000 more. Then in June of 2021, Tesla came out with the Plaid Model S. It made sense as a purchase for me at the time when I could track down one in inventory, and it worked well to have it for my YouTube channel, but after a few months of driving it, reviewing it, and having a blast with it, I also decided to try that vehicle out on Turo. I still drive each car regularly because each has its own advantages to me, and I want to be able to give true educated reviews of each car on my channel, but in March I fully committed those cars to Turo. I decided I wouldn't block out any dates for my own usage on the Model S or Y. Instead, I'd focus on renting out the Model S and Y to see how they do, and if needed, I can take an Uber or use the Model 3 that my wife and I tend to use for daily needs. I know a number of people with Tesla Turo fleets and wanted to give it a proper try as a business model. What happened very quickly was that both cars were renting out solid. It was so solid to the point where I was profitable on both vehicles, and I never had a car available to me. As a drummer who drives to gigs and a YouTuber who drives around to make videos, I definitely needed my own car. Earlier in the year, I had ordered a new 2022 Model Y to be my personal car. It will be the one that I use daily and leave off of Turo, but the estimated delivery wasn't until June. Shortly after, it updated to be further delayed, arriving in July or August of this year, so I needed a car for the next few months. As a quick summary, I decided that I'd try to find a used standard range Model 3 since that car has worked incredibly well for us. This would become my daily driver until the Model Y arrives. After a few months of use, I could either trade in this Model 3 towards the Model Y and likely gain some value there, or I could put the Model 3 on Turo and make the new Model Y my personal car. Since Teslas are so consistent with features, it often seems renters don't particularly care about the year of the rental, unless something major has changed, like the refreshed Model S and X. In any case, that was my reasoning, but I did have some reservations. When buying a used car, you're buying a used car. It's not new, so it doesn't come with the same security that you have when buying brand new from Tesla. Additionally, it would likely be older than a 2021 refresh that Tesla did on the Model 3. The car has remained largely the same, but Tesla has changed a number of things on it since. Would this used car have the FSD computer? Does that matter? Does it even include Autopilot? That's essential for me, and Tesla used to charge extra for basic Autopilot. It won't have a powered trunk, it will have the old center console, no pedestrian warning speaker, and it will have chrome trim. It will also include less USB ports, and I'll have to install my own Sentry Mode drive. Do these things really make a huge difference? Then, of course, the big question, what is battery degradation like after 3 to 4 years on a standard range Model 3? It's already their lowest range model, so I don't want to end up with way less range than I expected. One thing I did know, though, is that when Tesla updates the software on a vehicle, they update that software for all older ones as well. So in theory, the user experience of this older Model 3, even back to a 2017 Model 3, should be largely the same as a brand new 2022 Model 3. I looked around for used Model 3s and managed to find the cheapest one I could. It was located at a Mitsubishi dealer and had actually just been traded in for a newer Model 3 that was sold there. We drove down and took a look at it. It was a 2018 Model 3 standard range with 19-inch sport wheels. It had white paint and actually had a number of user upgrades included. There were nice all-weather floor mats for the seats and trunk, some springs on the trunk struts that actually helped it to open on its own when you pressed the release button, puddle lights on the doors that show the Tesla logo when opened, and blue ambient lights inside the interior. In practice, those trunk struts don't actually work very well, and I either wish they weren't there or that the trunk was automatic instead. It just makes the trunk harder to close and open most times. Also, the blue interior lights don't match hues. Not a big deal, but very odd. As far as imperfections, there's a paint marker spot and a Sharpied X on one of the headlights. Something that I can remove with the right products, but that doesn't come off easily. There were a couple of rock chips, but nothing major, some curb rash on the wheels, pretty much standard for any used Tesla, alignment issues that were par for the course in 2018, but not much else. The test drive went great, and the car felt essentially the same to drive as our 2021 Model 3, aside from slightly reduced regen braking that I noticed. It also felt a little bit more like an older Tesla. New ones feel a little tighter when driving to me. My biggest concern was Autopilot though. When I went to Autopilot settings, it was clear that this car didn't even include auto steer. That is essential for me and for future potential Turo renters. I researched this and all the latest info showed basic Autopilot costing $3,000 and FSD costing $12,000 if you buy an older Tesla. FSD would upgrade the computer from hardware 2.5 to hardware 3.0, but buying basic Autopilot wouldn't, as it isn't necessary. $3,000 isn't cheap, but was something I was willing to pay extra for. It's definitely something to look out for though on a used Tesla. Oftentimes owners and especially dealers won't truly know what Autopilot features the car comes with, so you need to check in settings for yourself. As far as upgrades that this car has that a new Model 3 doesn't have, there are actually a number of things that Tesla has removed. Grocery hooks are included in the front trunk. It appears to have the premium audio system upgrade, which is something Tesla used to allow you to add, and it includes HomeLink. In our 2021 standard range Model 3, it says, quote, premium speakers, no external amplifier. It also says garage door opener not installed. Tesla no longer includes HomeLink on the Model 3 or Y. In the used 2018 Model 3, it says audio system premium, which sounds different than simply premium speakers, but this is unclear. Then for garage door opener, it includes HomeLink 5. That was something I didn't even realize until I got home with the car, but is definitely a perk of buying used versus new. This older Model 3 also includes moving passenger lumbar support, which Tesla now famously removed in newer Model 3s and Ys due to lack of use. Lastly, this used Model 3 came with the mobile connector, which Tesla is remarkably removing from new purchased vehicles, and currently charges $275 or more to buy separately. I decided to purchase the car, and I'll detail the things I've learned so far in just a minute. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, NordVPN. NordVPN is an easy-to-use virtual private network that encrypts your internet traffic and hides your IP address to keep you safe while you browse the internet. It's the fastest VPN out there and is available on every available platform, including Linux. It also has the benefit of letting you unlock content that's blocked in your country, like movies, shows, and games, allowing you to access whatever you want, wherever you want. You might even be able to access entirely new platforms, streaming services at lower prices, or discounts on games only available in another country. My favorite part though is that it encrypts all your internet traffic, so your internet provider can't throttle your bandwidth based on usage. A recent upgrade they've added is threat protection. Threat protection takes it a step further to block ads and web trackers while you browse. It also automatically scans URLs and blocks malicious ones. Even if you click on a malicious link and end up downloading malware, it'll be scanned and deleted automatically. To check out NordVPN for yourself risk-free, visit nordvpn.com/RyanShaw, linked below, and use the coupon code RyanShaw for a big discount. I purchased the standard range Model 3, so I worked out financing there and took the car home. The drive home was great and showed me just how well these cars hold up. The only thing I noticed on the drive home was a bit more road noise than our 2021 Model 3, and this is because the old one has standard glass, whereas a new one has double-paned acoustic glass. I also missed having Autopilot. After I got home, I panicked a little bit because once the car was added to my account and the app, there was no option for basic Autopilot. For a few hours, I thought I made a huge mistake and purchased a Tesla without Autopilot and without an option to upgrade. My only option in-app was a $12,000 FSD upgrade, which I never find to be worth the cost. Tesla changes pricing and subscription options so much, sometimes offering enhanced Autopilot, other times removing it, that I thought they simply dropped this option for basic Autopilot in order to force used Tesla buyers to pay $12,000 for any Autopilot features. Luckily, after updating the car and my app, basic Autopilot showed up in-app for $3,000, so I purchased that. It has worked great and feels just the same as Autopilot on a new Tesla. This one actually includes radar as well, which depending on who you ask could mean the system is better than a new Tesla where they have dropped radar sensors. One way that it's clearly better is that the speed limit for auto steer is 90 miles per hour. It's 80 miles per hour on new Teslas without radar. Tesla should be updating this soon, but time will tell. I've been driving this 2018 Model 3 for about a month now, and I can honestly say buying a used Tesla is a great option if it works for you and if you can find one. The immediate downsides would come if you're unable to find one used that's cheaper than a new one. If that were to happen, you'd be paying a premium for more mileage on the car and a lack of a few specific features that have been upgraded, like the powered trunk or pedestrian warning speaker if you want that. Luckily for me, I found it for cheaper than new, even when I include my purchase of basic Autopilot, and I was able to get this car immediately. Now let's talk about how the battery and range have held up on this almost 4-year-old Tesla. For a new standard range Model 3, Tesla quotes an EPA range of 272 miles. This is for the stock 18-inch wheels. For our 2021 Model 3, about a year old, when I put a charge limit of 100%, it gives me an estimate of 246 miles. Obviously, that's quite a bit lower than the EPA estimate, and this is because it is taking real-world conditions and range into account here. For this used 2018 Model 3 with less efficient 19-inch wheels, when I put a charge limit of 100%, it gives me an estimate of 236 miles. There are many factors involved here, like the fact that each car is calculating its own range based on its own usage, and the wheels are different, but still only a 10-mile difference on a car that is 3 years older. That has held up really great, and still provides great range for those that a standard range vehicle works for. As I always say though, if you're driving 230 miles daily, don't get a standard range used Model 3 and expect it to be perfect. You'll want that long range buffer, but I'm impressed with this mileage. If I was comparing it to a 272 mile quote or 267 mile quote on Tesla's website, I wouldn't be impressed, but I'm comparing it to the real world range of our 1-year-old Model 3, knowing that an EPA range is never realistic. This is holding up great. I'm an early tech adopter. I love having the latest tech. I always get the latest iPhone if I can do it, and buying the Plaid Model S was very much motivated by this same part of me. It was and is Tesla's latest and greatest car, with a larger center screen, great features, smooth ride, and insane performance that beats every car on the road. So after driving that for a few months, many would wonder how I could possibly go to a used standard range Model 3. For me, each of Tesla's vehicles has their own plus sides and downsides. The ride isn't quite as smooth in a Model 3, and the features aren't quite the same as a Model S, but it's a great car to drive. It's smaller and easier to get around in than a Model S, and is just an incredibly solid car all around. Plus, as I've been mentioning, as your user experience when driving the car, there's hardly any discernible difference between a 2018 Model 3 and a brand new one. Things I'm missing include the powered trunk, a Sentry Mode drive included in the glove box, the latest chip, the latest center console, matte black trim, and a pedestrian warning speaker, among a few other things. However, for myself, not having those features has been a negligible difference. I thought they would be a big deal when I was looking for a used Model 3, but it's not. The main thing I miss is a powered trunk, which I could fix by installing a third-party trunk, but the whole idea here is that I saved money by getting a used Model 3, so I'll keep the manual trunk for now. What I've learned here is that Teslas hold up well. This is still only a 3 to 4 year old car, but many people get concerned about battery electric vehicles and how long they will last. Almost nothing about this car feels like it's 3 to 4 years old. This was a great car in 2018, and thanks to Tesla's over-the-air software updates, it remains a great car with most of the same features a 2022 Model 3 comes with. It even comes with some bonuses over a new one, and for myself, getting HomeLink, the mobile connector, passenger lumbar support, and not having the pedestrian warning speakers are all bonuses. I personally like that it's silent when I back up. If you're in the market for a Tesla and looking used, I think it's a great option. For myself, who also owns a Plaid Model S, I found this 2018 Model 3 to perfectly fit my daily needs. I'm always about the latest tech, and aside from features like Boombox, I get all the latest tech in this car with software updates. I could even upgrade it to full self-driving if I wanted to pay $12,000, the same cost as FSD on a new Tesla. When you shop for a used Tesla, there are of course things to look out for. I already mentioned checking on what level of Autopilot is included, since that could add additional cost after buying, like it did for me. But it's also possible that I got lucky. This 2018 Model 3 was treated very well. Not all used cars are. Additionally, the earlier you go in production for, say, a Model 3, the original factory quality may suffer a bit more. Tesla was struggling more with quality control back when the Model 3 first started than they are today. However, each new Tesla I purchased came with some fit and finish issues, even the 2021 Plaid Model S. None of the issues were too major, and each were fixed at a service appointment, but that was a frustrating thing to go through. Depending on where you're buying your used Tesla from, the previous owner may have already gone through these things and had them fixed. This used 2018 Model 3 with its various user upgrades actually came with less issues than our brand new 2021 Model 3 from Tesla. Panel gaps may be questionable if that matters a lot to you, but other than that, the car feels great and drives just as good as a new one. So why did I buy a used Tesla in 2022? There are many reasons, but ultimately I've been renting out my cars a lot and I needed a car for myself earlier than 6 months from now. I also wanted to buy the cheapest car I could, and a used standard range Model 3 fits that bill. I've found buying used to be a really great option, and it could be perfect for you. You could get a Tesla much quicker, and it will include everything that you truly need and get the benefits I've already mentioned in this video. As always, there are many factors and it won't work for everyone, but it has worked out great for me. This is my daily driver for right now, and I'll keep you posted on how it's going. Of all the features Tesla has removed in newly shipped cars though, which matters most to you? Mobile connector, home link, passenger lumbar support? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, if you want to see 9 new EVs coming from other brands, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.